Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Echoes of Fate, Anchoress series book number 4 by D.L. Armillei, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. Her boyfriend's family wanted her dead. Simple fact. Vanessa Cross tore through the tangled canopy of Providence Island's trees. Behind her, Paley Ash's footsteps pounded against the forest floor in a relentless rhythm. The only proof Van hadn't taken flight. Wind whipped her hair, branches slashed at her arms, stinging but ignorable. She couldn't slow down. The Brotherhood agents were closing in. The Balish royal family didn't just dislike her, they wanted her gone, eliminated. Van shoved her doubts aside, focusing on the weight in her pocket. The stolen gem pulsed with possibilities both thrilling and terrifying. This wasn't about power, it was about potential. One she couldn't fully grasp yet, one that made every risk worth taking. The gem was theirs if she and Paley could just lose their pursuers. Van, wait! Paley gasped behind her. Adrenaline spiked through Van's system as she glanced over her shoulder. Sinister tendrils crept through the branches, writhing in pursuit. She could almost feel the Brotherhood agent's breath on her neck. A twig snapped nearby. Van halted, dragging Paley behind a massive oak. They pressed against the rough bark, holding their breath as silence thickened around them. Donovan, take the east path, a gruff voice commanded. We'll cut them off before they reach the amphitheater. Footsteps crunched through the underbrush, growing fainter. Van's brain shifted into survival mode. The amphitheater. The summer love masquerade. Risky, but their only chance. This way, Van hissed, tugging Paley's arm. And lose those flimsy sandals. They'll get us caught. Paley kicked off her shoes without argument, wincing as her bare feet met the forest floor. Van, if they catch us with this thing, they may not let us go. They won't. Van cut her off. Her voice came out harsher than intended, so she softened the tone. Trust me. The girls burst from the tree line into a familiar clearing beside the amphitheater, nearly colliding with a group of costumed revelers. Twinkling lanterns swayed in the breeze, casting a romantic glow over the scene, while bass-heavy music filled the air. A banner fluttered overhead. Summer Love Masquerade Bash. Masked dancers twirled and laughed, unaware of the girls' plight. Van's eyes swept the crowd, desperate for allies, when she spotted a table of discarded masks. Quick! She said, snatching two and tossing one to Paley. As they slipped them on, Van spotted two men in dark suits, forcing their way through the crowd. Blend in, she whispered. Van searched frantically for a way out. The gem stirred in her pocket like a binding oath, tethering her to something she could never escape. Van? Paley's voice trembled. What is that thing really? Why is it worth all this? Van hesitated. How could she explain herself without sounding pathetic? It's a powerful crystal, a prism heart. Uxa and the other elders keep it hidden from everyone. It's not right. Paley's yellow contacts caught the light behind her mask as she searched Van's face. Since when do we just take things? A commotion erupted near the refreshment table. One agent had cornered two of her classmates, demanding to see their faces. We need to move, Van said, searching the crowd until she spotted a makeshift fencing area. Hope flickered when she recognized two familiar figures, Hannah and Jacob. As they approached, the ring of steel on steel stopped. The couple lowered their blunted practice swords. Hey, looks like fun, Van forced a casual air she didn't feel. Any chance we can borrow some gear? Hannah's eyes narrowed behind her mask. I don't know, Cross, she said, her voice loud enough for the costumed revelers around them to hear. This requires staying on your own 2 feet. Think you can manage that without your protector holding you up? Van's blood turned to ice. Hannah had just exposed her status in front of students who knew nothing about the Anchoress. The whispers Van had endured in the halls of Lodestar, tainted blood, weak leader, liability, threatened to spread beyond their elite circle. Jacob crossed his arms, his expression darkening. Yeah, or are you just looking for an excuse to get close enough to critique our form? No, Van faltered. The rejection cut deeper than expected. I was just asking. Save it, Jacob snapped. We don't need your guidance. Why don't you go find Brooks? I'm sure he can give you a piggyback ride back to Marble Hall. He turned away, dismissing her without a second thought. The sting solidified her resolve. She didn't just want to use the prism heart anymore. She needed to prove them all wrong. A rough hand clamped down on her shoulder. You there, a deep voice growled. Let's see your face. Van's pulse raced as she met Paley's terrified gaze. They had nowhere left to run, no more chances. A crash of shattering glass pierced the air, followed by shouts and laughter. Van whipped around toward the commotion. Her heart leapt. A group of freshmen stumbling away from an overturned refreshment table. The Brotherhood agents immediately changed course, shoving through the crowd. Now! Van's fingers dug into Paley's arm. Move! They slipped away from the party, discarding their glittery masks as they plunged back into the dusky woods. Van sent a silent thanks to the chaos-causing freshmen, even as guilt pricked at her conscience. How many times had she lectured younger students about responsibility? And here she was, a thief in the night. Each branch lashed against her like punishment, reminding her of the stolen crystal and the consequences of getting caught. Bailey's ragged breathing filled the air as they stumbled through the underbrush. Van, she gasped, where are we going? Van slowed their pace and turned to face Paley in a small clearing. There's something I need to tell you. She slipped a hand into her pocket, fingers closing around the prism heart. Its energy hummed against her skin. I tried to achieve Chrysalis over this summer, she admitted. Her voice dropped lower. Failed. Every single time. Paley's brow furrowed. Arrow what now? Chrysalis, Van said, longing creeping into her voice. A magical transformation that lets you soar through the skies. I thought my Anchoress powers alone would be enough, but Paley's eyes widened. I've never heard of that before. Why keep it secret? I could have helped. Van turned away, her cheeks burning. The thought of Paley's pity twisted nausea through her stomach. Looks like someone could use some help, a familiar voice teased. Van looked up sharply. Brooks emerged from the darkness, moving with practiced stealth. His genuine smile sparked an unwelcome flutter in her chest. Despite her feelings for Ferox, something about Brooks still stirred a reaction she refused to examine. The awareness only frustrated her more. He approached, cradling a sleek metallic contraption. Behold, the Luxferium shell, Brooks announced with a flourish. Borrowed from the university, courtesy of my father's badge. Not quite Chrysalis, but it'll give you wings, so to speak. Van studied the exoskeleton, a storm of emotions wrestling within her. Relief, annoyance, grudging gratitude. Always ready to step in, she thought, unsettled by how much she depended on Brooks. It's this damned island, she blurted, desperate to preempt his judgment. We're stuck between worlds here, Earth and living. Nothing works right. Brooks's smile faded. Magic flows through everything, Van. We just have to tune it in. Maybe it's time to get out of your head and open your heart. She scoffed, but his words hit home. This wasn't just about magic. Ferox's face flashed in her mind. Every failed attempt at Chrysalis had been for him, to prove her strength, to protect him, to break the curse that loomed over their relationship. The fear remained. Their love was ill-fated, and Chrysalis was supposed to be the key. Van touched the streamlined contours of the suit. This could be my chance. She faced her friends, her decision crystallizing. They deserved to know the truth. All of it. Actually, there's something else. Her voice grew serious. This flight training isn't just about proving myself or showing off. I need to get to the Temple of the Cross during the alignment to find a way to break my curse. If I can win over Ferox's family at the masquerade ball, show them our relationship could be the key to lasting peace between the tribes, it changes everything. Brooks frowned. Van, this is all moving really fast. Stealing the prism heart, the suit, and now this mission to the temple? What's gotten into you? Van hesitated, then met his eyes. I found out something about Anchoress traditions I didn't know before. What traditions? Every Anchoress has to choose her mate by her 21st birthday, Van said quietly. I have less than 3 years, Brooks. What am I supposed to tell Ferox's family? Let's unite the tribes, but by the way, I'll die giving birth to his daughter, which will cause an intertribal incident. Paley gasped. Choose by 21? Van, you've never told us about the deadline. Because I just found out. Van's voice rose. Uxa mentioned it in passing like it was something I should already know. Every decision I make now affects whether I can convince his family to accept our relationship and whether Ferox and I have any chance at a real future. So this is about both missions, Brooks said. Win over his family for tribal peace and break the curse so you can actually have that future. Exactly. And I need to reach the Temple of the Cross during the alignment to find a counter curse. If I can break the curse, I can offer his family a real political alliance instead of a doomed romance. Her voice sharpened. It's dangerous, I know, but I can't keep living under this death sentence. I won't spend my life waiting to die in childbirth like every other Anchoress. And honestly, I'm sick of everyone tiptoeing around it like it's inevitable. Of course we're in, Paley said. You don't even have to ask. The temple is where my father searched for answers, Van continued, her tone growing more commanding. Where my mother died giving birth to me. If there's a counter curse anywhere, it's there, and unlike my father, I can intuitively read the ancient writings on its walls. Understanding crossed Brux's face. That's why you need a master flight, to reach the temple. No more relying on missions to take us there, or scrambling for transportation. I need to get there myself when the time is right, Van's jaw said. The alignment gives us our window. What do you need from us? Paley asked. Trust, Van said bluntly. I need people I trust completely. People who won't hesitate when things get dangerous. They will get dangerous. Her attention returned to the Luxferium shell. It was a masterpiece of gossamer light metal fibers interwoven with enchanted gemstones that caught and scattered light. Its core needed only the prism heart to surge to life, channeling celestial magic through every strand. I can't believe you pulled this off, Van whispered, awe and apprehension mingling in her voice as she examined the suit more closely. Brux's expression grew serious. Tell me you have the prism heart. Without it, this thing's just a fancy paperweight. Her hand flew to her pocket, palm closing around the crystal's warmth. Anticipation thrummed through Van as she pulled on the Luxferium shell. The cool metal fibers sent a shiver across her skin as the suit became a welcome exoskeleton. The prism heart throbbed with ethereal energy in her grasp, its power radiating through her fingertips. Holding her breath, she snapped the crystal into the heart of the suit. A surge of energy erupted through her. The prism heart synced with her heartbeat, its rhythm reverberating through the metal like a second pulse. The shell stirred to life, its gleaming surface shifting and molding to her every move. Brooks handed her a multi-track, worry gleaming in his eyes. It's now or never, she muttered, willing herself to rise. For a breath-holding moment, nothing happened. Then, ever so slowly, her feet lifted off the ground. Van let out a startled laugh as she wobbled in the air, arms flailing for balance like a newborn bird. It's working, Paley cried. As Van studied herself, she cautiously pushed higher. The initial wobble gave way to a smoother ascent, each moment bringing more confidence. Soon, she was soaring, relishing the rush of wind that whipped through her hair and tugged at her suit. The island stretched out below her, a patchwork of forests, fields, and clustered rooftops. She had never felt so free, so powerful. Far below, Paley and Brooks ran to keep up, their voices crackling through the multi-tracks. This is incredible, Van shouted, dipping low to savor the moment. Be careful, Brooks called. Oh, how sweet of you to worry about my well-being, Van teased through her MT, grinning as she climbed higher. I'm obligated to bring that suit back intact, he shot back, his sarcasm dry enough to make her laugh. Paley's excited voice burst through. Van, you should see yourself. Oh, look, I can see Venus right behind you. Van smirked, unable to keep smiling at her friend's enthusiasm. It's also called the Evening Star, Paley continued eagerly. Ken mentioned it during ASG support. It's visible in both the morning and evening skies because of its brightness. Fascinating, Paley. Van replied, half listening, her focus fixed on the horizon. The thrill of flight consumed her thoughts, drowning out her ex-boyfriend's astronomy trivia. She imagined herself soaring toward the Temple of the Cross, no longer bound by earthly limitations. "This is exactly what I needed," she said into her MT. "I'll be able to reach the temple in no time. No guards, no restricted paths." Concern edged Brux's response. "Just remember that mastering the suit is only the first step. The temple's full of passages and crypts. Your father searched for years and found nothing." "I know, but this gives us options we didn't have before." Van banked into a smooth turn, reveling in the suit's responsive control. "I'm going to fly over the masquerade bash. Everyone should see what's possible when you refuse to accept limitations." Brux's voice came through the MT. "I'm not sure that's the best idea. It might make them resent you more." Her exhilaration faltered before irritation flared. "They'll love me," she snapped, brushing away his doubt with a flick of her hand. "Once they see what I can do." A pang of guilt rose at Brux's silence. Van shoved it aside. This was her moment to shine. "I wonder how high I can go," she murmured into her MT. "Why don't you find out?" Paley teased, a playful energy in her voice. Van grinned. "I'll fly to the roof of the Celestial Tower, the highest point on the island." She angled upward, exhilarated by the rush of wind against her face. An eagle glided beside her, and she grinned. "I fly just like you, but can you do this?" With a teasing smirk, she executed a flawless black backflip, the Luxferium shell responding to her every movement. As she righted herself, something unsettling caught her attention below. A line of black military-style buggies parked ominously at the complex. "That's new," she murmured, making a mental note to investigate later. A gust of wind buffeted her, stronger and colder than anything natural, carrying with it a faint scent of sulfur. Van adjusted her flight path, squinting as the surrounding air rippled and distorted like heat waves rising from hot asphalt. "Weird," she muttered, trying to make sense of it. The shimmering air coalesced into an undulating, translucent shape. It struck, ethereal claws raking across her suit and shredding the mesh like brittle parchment. Van gasped, more from shock than pain. "What the—" "Van, what's happening?" Alarm shot through Brux's transmission. Something's attacking me," she replied. It's made of air, I think, but solid somehow." The air demon lunged again, its form constantly shifting. Terror coursed through Van. This was no ordinary foe. Nothing from advanced studies had prepared her for this type of attack. "I got this," she sputtered into her MT, forcing bravado into her voice. She swiped at the creature. Her hand passed through its ghostly body. The demon's strikes intensified, each blow sending shockwaves through the Luxferium shell. Desperation surged as she fought an enemy she could barely see and couldn't grasp. "Be careful!" Paley shouted. "What is that thing?" I don't know," Van snapped, "but I'm not letting it win." "Stay focused," urgency sharpened Brux's voice. "Keep your heart clear, or the prism heart will fail." Van was already lost in the frenzy of combat, her movements growing more ruthless. The prism heart flickered erratically as she struck out with a final, desperate blow. The demon dissolved into thin air. In that instant, the prism heart's rhythm faltered. Horrifying clarity struck Van as gravity began to reclaim her. It wasn't about winning the fight. The demon's true purpose wasn't to kill her. It was to make her hate, to make her lose control. "No!" she cried, vertigo overwhelming her. The suit was dead. The celestial tower loomed ahead, its stained glass dome growing larger with terrifying speed. Everything slowed as she hurtled toward it, each colorful pane becoming clearer, more distinct. With a deafening crash, she burst through the dome. A kaleidoscope of glass shards exploded around her, catching the light and transforming her fall into a dazzling, deadly spectacle. The ornate mosaic floor rushed up to meet her as its intricate patterns swirling in her vision. 4 shadowy statues seemed to reach for her, silent witnesses to her failure. Then came the impact, a bone-jarring thud that shattered through every part of her. The world became a universe of pain.